Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Kingfisher Knits podcast. My name is Madeleine and I'm talking to you from my home in Zurich, where I live with my husband and my two small children, although I'm originally from the UK. And this is my podcast where I talk about my knitting. I'm also a knitting pattern designer and a knitting pattern tech editor. Sometimes I talk a little bit about that too. I'd like to say welcome back to any returning viewers. Thank you very much for coming back and watching me each time I manage to get a video out. And also to say thank you to any new viewers. And I hope you enjoy the podcast. Just a quick note. I am from now on going to be having all the links in the show notes definitely in the description box below this video on YouTube. That worked out really, really well last time, and the feedback that I had was that everybody liked that. And I will try and copy all of that information also into a post each time in the Kingfisher Knits Ravelry group on Ravelry, just because then some things are listed there and it might be useful. And that isn't actually too much extra work, I have found. So hopefully that will be the new way of things, and that will work out really well. So yeah, all the links on where to find me will be below. I did want to start this episode with a little bit of admin, of course knitting related admin. So the very first thing I wanted to say was that I have gained quite a few new followers on Instagram in the last month or so. So I think I decided that when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will have an Instagram giveaway. And I'm just saying that because I love all the guys here, obviously, who watch me. So just in case you're not subscribed to me on Instagram, make sure you do, so that when that happens, hopefully in the next few weeks, you will be able to join in with that giveaway. There will also be giveaways coming up on this channel soon. I just have to wait a little bit longer on that. But linked to giveaways in terms of prizes, I am going to be having 2 cals starting soon for my 2 latest shawl patterns, and so there will obviously be prizes for those. And on that subject, I don't want to show you this too much because I've shown it on several episodes, but the Artemis shawl is now released on Ravelry. That's this one, in case you didn't remember, and this was done as a collaboration with TreLiz, and it makes a large asymmetrical triangle type shape. It's been a bit folded up right now, so the big point finishing over here. And I just wanted to take the opportunity, as it's easier on a video, to answer a couple of questions that I've had about it. These weren't all from podcast viewers, so perhaps these are of no interest to you, but in case you thought some people tend to come up with the same questions. So the first one was that I said in the pattern that this has got an I-cord edge. So it's I-cord edged all the way round on both sides, but it does not start with an I-cord cast on. Some people apparently don't particularly like that. As it starts with such a small point, I just used a long tail cast on to cast on the very few 5 or 7 stitches at the very beginning. So there is not an I-cord cast on. Then yeah, it's knit in this direction. There's this central line of increases, and that's what makes this arrow shape. There is very simple lace. I have both written and charted instructions for the lace in the pattern, and I also tell you obviously how to knit this and how to place your colours and everything. There is a section of I-cord bind off here. It's towards the end of the shawl, and you only cast off this much. So only this much of the I-cord is cast off with an I-cord bind off. The final bit of I-cord edging, which comes on this final section here, is worked as you're working this section. So there is very little I-cord bind off for, and no I-cord cast on for such a type of shawl. The final point I wanted to make was that in this final section here, I basically did a striping pattern, this one here, based on what yarn I had left, so all of these colours here. And I tell you exactly what I did in the pattern, so if you want to, you can follow exactly the same patterning. What I found was that most of my testers had slightly different amounts of yarn left. That's normal. I mean, this is made with mini skeins, and generally mini skeins, they say they're 20 grams, sometimes they're 19, sometimes they're 21, and so then you can just pick your favourite colours that you want to finish it off with at the end. You can have equal stripes of all of them. I was quite happy with how mine turned out. I liked the the sort of added to the asymmetric nature of it, that it's just got a bit of different thicknesses of lines here, but not everyone likes that. So I say that in the pattern, just, you do what you want to use up that last bit of yarn. So yeah, just to say, this is knit in a single ply yarn, a full skein, 100 grams of the main colour, and 5 20-gram mini skeins. I had one tester who used her own yarn, who did not use the pattern yarn, so she had sort of normal fingering weight sock yarn, I believe. It was 75% merino, 25% nylon, and she had plenty of yarn to do exactly what she wanted. If you want to check that out, that was knit by Shauna. She is Shauna Knits on Instagram. It was very nice. She did it with a set of grey, sort of greyish mini skeins from Lola Did It. But TreLiz is selling kits. This kit here, so the exact colours that I used, is called the Original. Then there is a blue kit, which has a sort of a blue base, I would say, kit, which is a blue denim kind of colour for the main colour. And then has the different mini skeins are blues and green and yellow. And it's really beautiful, and that's called the Mediterranean. And then she had another kit which is called the Warm, and that has its main colour is this mauve purple, which is Yarngasm here. And I don't actually know the names of all of the mini skeins on that, but I'm going to put a link down below to where you can go to the pre-orders on TreLiz's website. She has them all listed there. She has pictures of all of shawls knit up in all of the options. Sorry, and you can also see the colours which are involved, and you can pick your kit. The kits from TreLiz include all the yarn and the pattern, and a silkscreen printed tote bag, project bag. That's all included in the kit. Kits should be on sale until mid-October, so the current date I believe is the 10th of October. And she will be then hosting a cal which will run from the 10th of November till the 10th of December. So that'll be a 1 month long cal for people who have that kit. So all that information is up on her page, which I will link down below. I am also running my own cal for that shawl. And the cal for that shawl, again, I'll put the details down below. The cal will start on the 10th of October and it will finish on the 10th of December. So I'm having 2 months long cal, a little bit more relaxed. And in my cal, you can use any yarn you want to enter a finished object. But if you are using TreLiz yarn, either the shawl kit or TreLiz yarn that you had in stash, or just as you put together your own kit from her website, so to speak, then you would get 2 entries. So a bit like I did with my Patronus shawl knit along. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to say. And if I think of a little something else to add, I'll probably just put it down in the description box below in the section where I put the links for all of that information. Oh yeah, the chatter thread is already open for the Artemis cal because the shawl itself was released on Monday of this week. It's now Thursday. And so some people have already bought the pattern and are already picking out their yarn. Okay, the other piece of information of the admin nature is to talk about the other shawl which I'm having released this week. This is the Stracciatella Shawl. Stracciatella is a type of Italian gelato, and I showed this to you in good detail last time. I haven't had too many questions about this. I think people understood that it has a slightly odd look to it, but it is essentially a top-down shawl. It's just where the increases are placed that makes this swirl design. We have lots of lovely texture going on here. And this little drop stitch bottom down here. I'm just showing it up close just for anyone who's the first time that they're checking me out, and so they wanted to see this. But if you want to hear me talk a little bit more about this, you can go back to episode 10. I'm just going to talk now about the admin for the release of this pattern. The pattern will be released tomorrow. That is September 29th. And the same day, Tracy of Nora George will be listing the pre-orders for kits. If you go to my Instagram, you can see a post where I have posted a picture of my shawl with all of the colourways above, the other colourway options that are above. Tracy has done a beautiful yellow kit, which is called Citrus Sorbet. Then there is a mint choc chip kit, which is green and cream and brown colours. And then there is the kit called Tutti Frutti. That one is a beautiful sort of lavender and then, lavenderish, lavender and pinky tones. And then there is also the cookie dough kit, and that is cream and sort of naturals, neutral taupees and browns in there as well. Yes, and then there will also be this colour, which is the strawberry Stracciatella kit. So she will be listing all of this on her website. They are all on her base, her 100% merino base, which is a 3-ply merino yarn, so soft, and within the price of the kit you also are getting the pattern, so you will get a Ravelry download code for that pattern. Okay, I think that's everything that I wanted to say. I don't know exactly what time that update will go live, but anyone who's interested should certainly be following myself and or Tracy, because we will of course post about that when all the details are fully known. Okay, so that is all of the admin-y type talk. I hope I didn't bore you. I tried to get it through quickly, but I wanted to put the information in. Oh, you see, and I forgot something. So, of course, I will also be running a cal for this shawl. I haven't put up any chatter thread yet. I will on once I release the pattern. And I probably will run the cal for this to be very similar dates to the other ones. So it'll be starting in October and ending in December. I might just put the same dates for both, just to be easy. Okay, shifting slightly from that focus for admin, I did want to mention that, of course, I have cals open for my shawl designs because I feel as the designer I should host a cal, and I want to thank the people who knit it and give people the chance to win prizes, and it's great fun, and I just love being able to like quickly pull up this thread and see people who are knitting it and what they're talking about and which colours they've chosen, and it really gives me a great big thrill. It's a lot of fun. But I also was thinking it would be nice to do a cal that has nothing to do with my designs, which is something I haven't done yet. So I would be interested to know what kind of a cal any of you would be interested in, if anything. I mean, Christmas is coming up. I'm not a big one for Christmas knitting. It's not that I've never knit Christmas gifts. I have. So I had thought to do something a bit like that, but I don't know. I'm feeling more on the sort of garment cal side of thing, but I'm willing to hear what you have to say, definitely, because there's no, I mean, I can have a little cal all by myself. That's absolutely fine by me. So anyway, this is just putting the thought out there. All right, so I'm going to move on to whips. The first whip I'm going to show you, I'm just going to show you very briefly. It's the same whip that I showed you last week, and it is my So Faded sweater. Oh gosh, needles rattling around. This is what I was wearing. Oh gosh, what have I done here? There we go. This is what I was wearing last week because I had finished the body and I hadn't yet started on the sleeve, so everything was on waist yarn. I have now finished one sleeve. I still have the waist yarn in there. I told you I tend to leave the waist yarn in when I start knitting. I don't just put it out straight away, just because then if I make a mistake and I want to pull back and go back to the beginning of the sleeve, it's basically like a lifeline, and now I just haven't cut it out yet. I guess I will when I weave in, you know, the ends and what have you. So this is my sleeve. It wasn't lots of fun to knit. I don't really mind knitting sleeves in general. This is the first time I'm knitting a sleeve in the round, and I was alternating skeins. I was not alternating skeins the whole way. As I've said in this project, that's not what I'm doing. These colours, all the skeins were very similar, but I was alternating to when I changed from one skein to the other. And I had kept a bit of this skein here to start, just out of sort of paranoia, I guess. So then I had a little bit of that, and then I had to fade it into the next skein, which was a skein I'd used mostly on the body, and I didn't have actually that much left on it, and so then I had to go into my last skein, and only I think from sort of here on was I actually just knitting round and around, not having to alternate skeins. So it was a total pain. I am onto the second sleeve though. Haven't done a whole lot there, but I have finished alternating in. I'm now onto my last ball of yarn. I have nothing left of my original skeins, so I'm definitely going to have enough yarn. I'm sure that's going to get me my sleeve, and then I will have to go back and do the neckband. This is the So Faded sweater pattern by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm knitting it all in one colour, so it is my Not So Faded sweater. And there it is. So again, I will talk about that more when I on, what was I going to say? I will talk about that more when I'm hopefully finished it. Next time I show it to you, I'm hoping it will be finished. I also wanted to correct myself, correction corner, errata. Last week I was happily talking along about the yarn, which is by the Plucky Knitter. It's their old Oxford base, and I said that it was 75% merino, 25% nylon. It's not. It's 75% merino, 25% cashmere, and it is a non-superwash yarn. And it's very, very nice. So that is that. Currently, I don't know where I've left the project bag. I just laid it light. I left this just scrawled across the sofa last night when I stopped knitting on it, so I just picked it up and brought it over here. So I will just plop that down on there. Sorry about that. Dear oh dear. Okay, and I did have another another whip to show you, which is actually a crochet whip. Totally forgot to pick it up. Left it in the kids' room, and I'm not going to get it now. But hey, that'll be something to show off next time. So I'm okay with it. I have been working a lot on my next design, which will be in collaboration with TreLiz again. I've shown you this yarn plenty of times, and I'm about halfway through the knitting of my actual sample now. I'm down to these tiny little tufts of my first two skeins, and I can't even find what's left of the other one. Perhaps there's nothing left. I think that's what's left. So I am over halfway through the knitting, so there is definitely enough yarn to get through to the end. I'm not going to show you it in full for now. That's not typically what I do with most of my designs, but I have told people, I've said many times, that this is a 2-colour brioche project, and I actually used it to record a video which I put on my channel last week. So what happened actually was that I made a mistake. I genuinely made a mistake in my knitting, and I went on Instagram Live and did a quick live video on how to fix it, drop down a column of stitches in brioche and fix it. And I was happy with what I did as my video, and I left it up, for 24 hours. And I had a lot of response from it. And of course, many people were like, "That's great, but I can't watch that again when I make my mistake." And they were totally right. And I also was not. It was just a quick off-the-cuff thing. I wasn't telling you, "Oh, make sure you do it this way and not this way because." So I did a very thorough video, which I have uploaded onto YouTube. It's now on my channel, called "Fixing Mistakes in Brioche Knitting," and in that. I mean, it's very in-depth. For people who know a lot about brioche knitting, probably going to find it incredibly dull. But it tells you both how to recognize mistakes, so some mistakes which are not so easy to see, how to fix mistakes is the same in all cases, but I really tell you exactly how to fix it and what it looks like if you're not fixing it correctly, and a few of my tips. So it's not a short video, but hopefully it's a good resource there for you. A lot of people are starting to knit brioche this last year, and mistakes are easily made, and I think the reason that many people find brioche knitting intimidating, and to be honest was similar for me, was that they don't fully understand. They can do it, like we can read the instructions and do it, and maybe the process they also enjoy, but they're terrified of making a mistake because they can't fix it, and then they have to rip back. And even ripping back in brioche is hard, so then you need lifelines. And I mean, if people are interested, I also thought about doing a video and telling people how to pick up stitches in brioche. So as in, you've made a mistake somewhere, or you've made a lot of mistake, or you dropped a ton of stitches. That's really hard to fix. And maybe you can go down to a safe point, and that's where you would rip back to, but ripping back is scary. So to show people how to correctly pick up stitches with another knitting needle, such that you can then rip back to that point. If that was interesting for people, let me know. And at some point also just basically do a few tutorials on the actual stitches themselves. I feel like there are a lot of tutorials already out there, but if people like how I've done my first tutorial, and or people just like to have them all in one place, then I'm totally open to doing that. It was I'm saying a lot. It was not as difficult as I thought it would be. It was still time consuming to do it, but it was not that difficult. Let's put it that way. Anyway, I have just rolled up my shawl here just to show you off some beautifulness there. So this is a 2-colour brioche project, and that's what I'm showing you so far. It's in DK weight yarn, 2 colours, and it's so squishy and soft. And now I want everything in DK or worsted. I mean, I'm knitting that the fingering weight sweater, and that's fine, but like suddenly I'm not... I had plans to cast on a new fingering weight shawl, and right now, I mean, I'm still going to do that. I'm still very keen on my idea for that, but I'm just like, can't stop thinking about what would it be like to just roll around in DK and worsted weight shawls. So, gosh, I feel like I'm rambling on, but hopefully there is interesting information within that rambling. I have one final whip, and it almost doesn't classify as a whip. It's basically one step beyond dream knitting. So I have been planning for a long time. I've had the yarn for quite some time now. Gosh, everything's just slightly out of reach. Excuse me while I grab the pattern. And I showed this in Dream Knitting several episodes ago, that I want to knit the Recoleta cardigan, here we go, a bit less glare, by Joji Locatelli. And as I also said last time, she has a fall cal, so a knit along for all her patterns throughout autumn. I signed up with the Bonbon mitts, which I've made one of so far. And I also signed up for this, because you have to sign up for her cals beforehand. You can't just hop on at some point. You have to say beforehand, I'm going to join, and this is the pattern I'm going to knit. So I knew I wanted to knit this. By putting myself in for the cal, I hope that would get it done a bit sooner. And even if not, I was going to knit it anyway. So this is a beautiful, beautiful cardigan, and with these amazing lace panels which come all the way down from the behind the neck all the way down the front. This is knit, and hers is knit in a worsted weight yarn. I've actually picked a Aran weight yarn. I'll show it to you in a minute. And it's worth showing there that perhaps you can see also the entire back of the cardigan is also, there we go, is also lace. But it's lace in Aran weight, or worsted weight Aran weight, so it's easy, right? Okay, the yarn that I'm using, so I've just put everything, I don't really have a project bag big enough for this. This is 5 skeins of Aran weight yarn. So I have this Loop London tote bag, so for now everything's living in there. And the yarn I'm using is from the Plucky Knitter again. This is the most divine yarn. It is the Traveller Aran base. It is 65% extra fine superwash merino, 20% mulberry silk, and 15% yak. It's so soft and just amazing, and it is this beautiful, beautiful colour. It's this beautiful dark stone grey. It's called Wanderlust, the colour. I have 5 skeins of this, and I picked it up much earlier on in the year. They basically had a sale only on this base. It was 30, for sure it was 30% off, possibly even a bit more. And also the Plucky Knitter have very reasonable shipping, I want to say. It's one of those ones where shipping always costs the same. So I did have to pay taxes on this when it arrived, which I totally expected to, because the total cost of the order still wasn't, low. But in the end, even with the taxes and everything, it cost considerably less than full price. And full price would still have been taxed if I bought it full price. So savings were made. Happy face. Okay, so this is a beautiful, beautiful cardigan, and I had a little dilemma. So hers is worsted weight and knit on 4mm needles, and I generally am a loose-ish knitter, not like super loose, but I'm not a tight knitter. So I often have to go down a needle size, but here I'm using Aran weight yarn, which is thicker. So I sat and had a think. I had already knit once a little swatch of something with this particular base, and I was like, there's no way that I'm going to get the gauge with 4mm needles. So I'm going to go up one size. So I did 4.5mm needles. I made a swatch. I blocked the swatch, and the gauge was right. It was correct. I have now left the swatch for a couple of months. It is now shrunk a little bit. So like after it was blocked, and this has happened to me several times before, especially it's strange. I mean, superwash yarn does grow when you block it, right? We all know that. It grows out, and it grows more than non-superwash yarns. But part of it comes back, I find. So this happens with shawls, you know, at some point, even though they're not dirty, you look at them and you think, well, I want to reblock them because it's not as stretched as it used to be. So this has definitely shrunk back. So I was getting my 17.5 stitches over 10 centimeters. And I'm not saying you have to wait 2 months to find this out. Probably you just have to wait a couple of days. Like, not just measuring it the moment it's dry, leaving it a couple of days, if you can wait that long. Or scrunching it up and throwing it around somewhere and then looking at it again. Anyway, I now had 18.5 stitches per 10 centimeters, 4 inches. So my swatch is in here. And I was like, okay, well, I could swatch again, but we could have the same problem again, right? Oh, where's the swatch gone? Sorry. Or I could just decide immediately just to go up a needle size, do 5mm needles, knit the size I was going to knit, which was the small in this case. And I was like, but I love the fabric. Like, I really like the fabric of my swatch. It's nice. It doesn't, like, you know, show light through it right now. Of course, it will, you know, it can stretch a bit, fine. But if I make it on bigger needles, I know there's lace involved, okay, but there is also stocking stitch all down the sleeves. And if I make it on a bigger needle, I felt like I was going to start having a fabric that I didn't like as much, that it was going to be more, even more drapey. This is already very drapey. And I just decided, no, I like this gauge. So I did a little bit of math, not much to be honest in this case. This is not a super fitted garment. I don't want it to be too big. So I didn't want to go crazy, but I just thought I'll make one size up from the size that I was going to make. So I'll make the medium, but I'll stick with this needle size. I hope I'm not going to regret that. But I was going round and around and around, and I was like, well, I'm never going to cast this on. And when I come back to it, I'm still going to have the exact same question. So let's just do it. Now I have to show you what I've cast on. So another reason I probably was putting off casting this on was that I was like, well, I'm going to have to alternate skeins. These, you know, I'm sure these all come from the same dye lot. They look very similar. But even by my eye, I was like, maybe I can see some subtle differences. And I've seen people, you know, where you see that you don't have a big difference in the skeins, and then you knit it up and it's blocked. It's blocked. There are, you know, lines. So with the other Plucky Knitter yarn that I'm using for my not so faded sweater, I was really confident in that, and I just decided to stripe in a new skein. This one I've decided to alternate skeins. I'm wondering if I'm going to regret that. I mean, I could change, right? I could stop alternating skeins, and I could just do that when I was striping things in. The problem is this starts at the beginning of the back. Okay, in the middle, you knit like a bit of lace here, and then you pick up from the provisional cast on, you knit more lace here, then you pick up what are going to be the back stitches, and then you start making the sleeves and everything. So it's all top down, all seamless, all one piece. So when it comes, you can tell me, I'm still undecided if this is the right thing to do. Anyway, for now, I'm going to try it to continue alternating skeins. So it involves a provisional cast on, which I've done them in theory because I'm such a little knitting nerd, and I used to watch all the videos from Very Pink. If you don't know Very Pink on YouTube and you ever have a problem with knitting, you must go check out Very Pink on YouTube. But I'm sure you all know Very Pink. Very Pink knits Stacey Perry. So I've watched her video on doing provisional cast-ons and different methods of provisional cast-ons, just as having stuff on in the background, or I want to see how that's done. So I didn't actually even have to open up the video. I just did it. I remembered how it was done. This was with a crochet hook, where you have your yarn in your crochet hook, and you're making the crochet chain around your needle, so that then you've got your waste yarn already on your needles. You don't have to go pick up the loops from the crochet chain. And then you knit off of that. So I've done that, and I've done 6 rows. Okay. So far it's lovely, and we'll see how this one goes, because I have never made a garment that's got quite this type of construction. I've done quite a few top downs now. I mean, this one actually that I'm wearing right now, this is a soubrette cardigan by Mary Annarella. I will link it below. It's a lace weight cardigan, and this, to be honest, now I say it, but it's all in stocking stitch. This starts, let's see if I can turn around so that you can see. This starts with a line with stitches right in the middle here, and you knit a bit here, but then you pick up, I think, no, then you pick up here, you knit across there, yeah, so it's a very similar construction actually, but without the added complication of lace, but the complication of working with lace weight yarn. So this is knit from yarn from Knitting in France, and it is a lovely sparkle, it's merino silk and sparkle and nylon. Yes, stellina and nylon. I will link my project page below so you can see exactly the details of that. So yeah, tiny, tiny, tiny whip, baby whip. We shall see. Once I get going, I think for me, like garment knitting doesn't intimidate me at all, and construction techniques don't intimidate me at all. All that's intimidating me right now is what I should be doing about alternating skeins. Should I be alternating all the way? Or should I just, as these are very similar, should I just alternate when I switch from one colour to the next? This is what I'm not sure about. So, anyway. That is a very beautiful whip. So, you'll probably be, as I've been already yammering on for quite a while, you'll be happy to hear that I do not really have any proper FOs to show you. So I have no new FOs to show you, but I did think I'd pull one out of the archives, and also because now it is autumn, I have been pulling out various items of knitwear. We don't own a whole lot of hand knit garments yet in this family. My husband doesn't seem to be particularly interested at me knitting him a sweater. Maybe I should be happy about that, but at some point I will make him one. But I have made a few for the kids. So I showed you either last week or the week before dress with a colourwork yoke that I had made for my daughter, and that's the garment that I made her last winter. And I thought I would show you this little cardigan. I'm just going to do up the buttons because I didn't, and it's easier to show it off. This little cardigan which I made for my son last year. So it does actually still fit him, which I'm very happy about. It's a tiny bit shorter than ideal now, but the rest still fits him. So this is the little cardigan. I love it so much. It's so very sweet. So this is called the Gex cardigan. That's spelled G-E-X. That's the back. And this is by A.E. Marks. So that's the letter initial A, initial E, Marks, M-A-R-X. She's also called Ultra Mariner on Ravelry, or Order of the Garter Stitch on Instagram. I actually won this pattern in a giveaway from Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast. Hey Melissa, I'm sure you're not watching, but if you are, hey. It was really, it was a real surprise, and I was really happy. And the other great thing, I will tell you a little bit more about it just in a minute, but this pattern, so this is the size age 2 to 4, and this pattern is sized from 0 to 6 months all the way up to 4XL, so it's a huge range of sizes. And it was a lot of fun to knit. I knit this in DK weight yarn. This yarn, I still have a little bit left. I picked this up on Love Knitting. It was called Just Merino DK, or Just was the brand, and it was Merino DK, 100% superwash merino. So it's perfectly soft. For me, it feels similar to other, big brand, cheapy yarn store yarn that you might find that would be 100% merino, so it feels like wool, but it's, it's very super washy, if that makes sense. I've picked up, merino or wool, nylon or wool acrylic blends that feel like this. It doesn't feel very sheepy. And I paid like nothing for it. And I was happy when I bought it at the time. I wanted to make a jumper for my son. I knew, and looking back on it, I'm like, it's not great value in that it's not great quality. It's not great quality, I think. But that said, it hasn't been pilling terribly or anything. And he doesn't wear it a ton, but when he does, he's a toddler. He goes around, he falls around, he rolls around on the floor, and the fabric gets, rubbed up, and I haven't got any pills yet. Anyway, I think I paid like less, like £2 a ball for this, for 50-gram ball. And I don't know what the colourway numbers were. This yarn was not actually on Ravelry. So I will link my project page down below and you can go see if I put in any information. But they were basically, you know, a blue and a really light blue. And the fun thing about this, the really fun thing about this is that this whole, I'll hold it on there, okay. This whole yoke section here is started here, and that's just knit across like that. So you're knitting, the direction of knitting is that. And you're doing these short rows to make all of these beautiful little colours all the way around. And then you get around here. And then, so you pick up the stitches all the way around the bottom of the yoke. You knit down a bit, separate for the sleeves, and then you knit down the body. So the body, of course, should be, it's a cardigan, so you should be knitting and purling to get the cardigan. I joined in a round down here and I knit all the way down and then I steeked it. This is not a great yarn for steeking. I mean, it's a superwash merino yarn, which is about the worst you can get. I mean, it's still animal fibre, so that's good. But it's normally for steeking, you should use those really grippy yarns. I did a crochet chain to secure it, and I can show you inside. It's not beautiful inside. This was my first time doing a steek. I just kind of, I mean, it's not that I didn't watch anything, but I kind of made it up as I went along. And so I did a crochet chain to secure it, and then I've also sewn down now all these ends on the inside. So I haven't got any kind of facing to cover that or anything. And I think in retrospect, if I were to steek these yarns, which are not really, you know, not the yarns called for when doing steek projects, I would probably grip the sewing machine out and secure that first, because then I would feel really sure that it's not going to come out. As it is, I don't think it's going to unravel, but I wouldn't give this to somebody else, or probably even really stick it in the washing machine proper, maybe on a hand wash cycle, because even though it's superwash, I wouldn't trust it. Anyway, so and the final step of it, of course, is then to knit. You pick up all the way around the bottom and the front and the neck, and you knit this band, so neck band, button band, bottom edging all in one. If I remember correctly, there was another option for the way to finish it. Perhaps it was a ribbed one, or to not have the colour striping it, or something like that. And then you do finish the sleeves and do the same edging at the bottom. And I will say there's a really cute couple of projects of these on Ravelry, if you go and check them out, where I've used this light blue, for example. They've used a colour changing yarn, like a rainbow colour changing, so all the way around the yoke. It's really, really, really beautiful. And even without that, I still think it looks great. I'm just going to drink some water before I start coughing. So that is the FO that I want to show you this time. So I finished that, I think, in December of last year, and now hopefully we'll start getting to use it again for this cooler season. So that is everything I had written down to talk to you about this week. I will, of course, endeavour to link everything below. Should you ever have any questions about anything that I've spoken about, feel free to drop a comment down below or contact me some other way. As I said, all my information will be down below. I hope that everyone is having a great time. Everyone is enjoying the sort of proper beginning of the knitting season. I never stop knitting, but I know a lot of people also who don't stop knitting are still happy when this time of year comes around. I'm never really happy to see summer go. I do like that when it goes, you get all these beautiful leaves changing colours, and you get the chance to pull out more of the knitwear. Certainly helps to soften the blow. So I hope that this video finds you all well, and that I will be back again soon to show you a few more lovely things, and that I will also get to see a few of your lovely things if you're joining in with any of the cals and posting some pictures in the Ravelry threads. Okay, so bye!